Greetings and welcome to another Fate Grand Order video. It has been a while and it will be yet another one because I'm going on vacation to somewhere very big. But anyway, we just finished the summer 2018 event and now we have to prepare for this, the Prisma Castleway event. Now this event is relatively important because this is one of two chances you will have in order to get Yllia and your only chance you will have in order to get Chloe right here. So let's take a look at the event, shall we? First, what does it mean? Now the most important part of the thing is this. Only female servants, genderless servants, and Astolfo will be participating in this event. And by the way, genderless means Chevalier d'Eon. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. So anyway, that means that only female servants can participate. So if we go to event servants, you will see this. So right off the bat, this is very similar to the other raid events we've had, where certain servants have extra attack power assigned to them just because, and the event servants and MASH for some odd reason, have a lot of attack power added to them. So this is the entire list of servants you will be able to use during this event. At least that's what the wiki is telling me. And it makes sense to me. So as you can see, all of these servants are servants you should hopefully have leveled up as best you can, because they will be needed during this event. Now let's go to the important part, the summoning campaign. As you can see, obviously Yllia is available, but also Meb, no need to clear America in order to get her. And as well, Medea, no need to clear Orchid and us together. Now, the important part here is that this is one of two chances you will ever have to pull Yllia, as far as we know so far. This is based on the fact that on the JP side, this event has never returned at all. So if you want to pull Yllia, you might think this is your absolutely best chance to pull, but it actually would not be. And that's because at the beginning of the next year, much like happened at the beginning of this year, we are going to have the New Year summoning campaigns, where all the limited servants that came out throughout the year will have very specific days in which they alone have rates up. So that is definitely the best day to pull Yllia. Not this time. Can you imagine throwing all your quartz at it and getting a 5-star animation and pulling Meb instead of Yllia? I couldn't. I mean, Meb is a 5-star rider and is anti-Mayos, and that is something I think she has. But still, I'm pretty sure there are better things you want to do with your quartz. Now, outside of that, there are also, obviously, event craft instances. There's Miyu from the series. This is one of two chances you will have to get her. During the New Year summoning campaign, you will also have a chance to pull these craft essences. So if you're looking for them for a collection, or because you think one is the one you want to equip on your servants, that is definitely another good chance. And as you can see, there are some event drops, but nowhere near as many as during the events we just ate, aka summer events. So yeah. Now, what does it mean for the event? So the main event has this, the mission list. So this is very similar to the Rashomon, I think. No, here we go. Karnokyokai and Fate Axel Zero Order events. In that you need to finish missions in order to unlock later missions and unlock what you want. So right off the bat, Defeating Testament, no idea what that is, you get your first copy of Chloe. Now, as soon as you get this copy, put her on your team, since one of the final missions is getting her bond level to 3. So as soon as you get her, plop her on your team into the back slot until you level her up, and leave her there for the rest of the event. Now, as you can see, beating a bunch of stuff gets you a bunch of stuff, quite obviously. So let's see, what is it for? Here we go. Defeat 20 Biscuit Golems. Gets you the first one here. So that's the first craft instance, that's Khalid Ruby. And then I think down here, Khalid Sapphire. So those are the two craft instances from this event, and you will be able to get a total of 5. 4 from the raid missions, and another one you can buy from the store. Oh yes, night medals, definitely those are super welcome, as are these magical lamps. So this event is definitely one you don't want to miss out if possible. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, this is the Chloe Ascension material. And now here is the important one right here. Reach bond level 3 for Chloe. So as you can see, and I believe you need to beat that mission in order to clear all missions and get your crystallized lore. Clear 90 missions, you get your 5th and final copy of Chloe, and so on and so forth. And clear any 30 missions, you get some 1 quartz. That's kind of crappy. But anyway, yeah, that is that. Now let's take a look at the event shop. There isn't really in much. So you need to buy 1 copy of Khalid Ruby, 1 copy of Khalid Sapphire, and really nothing else stands out, at least to me. These a little bit. And yeah, everything else is extra. So good thing we don't need to farm items this time. So with all that said and done, let's go take a look at Yllia, shall we? So Yllia, as you can see, much like any caster, has a triple arts deck, and she has 5 hits on her arts, which is definitely not bad. But let's take a look at her skills, shall we? Her third skill is this. This is the most important one that I want to talk about. Recovers one ally's HP, 70% chance to grant them debuff immunity for one time, and 70% chance to get them guts one time. Now, this 70% is very, very important because when we look at Chloe, you'll see why. But anyway, as a standalone ability, not too bad. You are moved to one debuff, which can be skill seal or MP seal, which is very annoying. You can grant them survivability for something. Imagine giving this to Berserker. And along with his craft that's his own, can you imagine have to kill Berserker 3 times? So close to being how it should be. Anyway, second skill, grants self-invincibility 1 turn and increases own MP generation rate for 3 turns. This is definitely a nice combination of abilities because usually when you use these types of abilities, you are about to eat a noble phantasm from the enemy. Now, something most people don't know is that you also gain NP charge by taking damage, whether you are immune to it or not. So taking no damage and then getting extra charge from this is definitely a good combination of skills. It also gives her survivability, which is very important. And the first skill, increases own buster performance for 1 turn. Now, you might be wondering, what is this? Why does she have a buster up performance for 1 turn if she only has 1 buster card? Well, that would be because of her Noble Phantasm. It's a buster type. But anyway, final passive skills. As you can see, there is no territory creation in here. However, charges on MP gush by 3% per turn. The only other servant that I know so far on the global that has something similar to this is Gene Alter, who gains 4% every turn. So yeah, this kind of makes up for territory creation not being there, but I kind of do miss it. And now, finally, her Noble Phantasm, as you can see. Let's see, damage to 1 enemy, but then reduces her own attack and own defense by 10% for 3 turns. This is where her third skill comes in handy, where she casts it on herself, hopefully she gets this, and then you hopefully ignore the attack down debuff from the attack. However, oh, and also it increases own buster performance for 1 turn, so that is definitely nice, going 20, 35, and 50. Now, let's assume you do not get more copies of her, so the maximum MP you will be able to give her is 300% charge here. So an extra 50% buster performance from her own MP, and then another 50% from her first skill right over here. That's an extra 100% per buster performance for her Noble Phantasm. Not bad at all considering she'd be hitting for 900 as the third part of a MP chain. However, rank EX after Interlude increases own MP generation rate by 20%, and increases own critical star generation rate by 20%. So once you go through her Interlude, this MP definitely becomes her basically bread and butter. It's spam that as much as possible, even if you do eat the attack reduction by 10%. Because you also gain more MP means faster charge for Noble Phantasm, and so on and so forth. So as a caster, she is definitely very odd. Using arts cards to charge her own MP, and then suddenly coming in with a massive hit for a buster here, which increases her MP generation rate, so not a bad caster when you look at her. Now let's go take a look at her sister / alter ego, shall we? Chloe. So here we have the main bread and butter of this event, Chloe. Now, as you can see, she has a very familiar outfit-ish, and a very familiar looking deck. Now, if you don't see what I mean, replace 1 quick card with 1 buster card, and suddenly you have an exact copy of Emiya's deck. And you know that black and red pattern? Yeah, that is also Emiya's outfit. So this basically got to do with the series. You don't need to watch it. Basically, she... how do I explain this? She's basically fused with Emiya, and yeah, it's a mess. But anyway, first skill. Grants self-evasion for 1 turn and increases on critical damage for 3 turns. Your standard evasion skill, not much to do there. You don't really need to level it. Second skill. Now, doesn't this look familiar? Emiya has this exact same thing after his strengthening quest. It increases basically all performances for 1 turn. So all of these get an increased performance. Now, considering she has 2 arts cards that hit for 6 times, this is definitely not a bad skill to level up and quickly charge her Noble Phantasm. Now, third skill. Charges on MP guards by 30% at level 1 and 50% at level 10, so you want to level up as quickly as possible this one here. Increases on critical star generation rate for 3 turns, and after Kiss of the Demon, after her Interlude, increases buff success rate for Yllia for 30%, well, by 30%. So now you understand why Yllia's third skill has a 70% chance. So if you put them together on one team, You charge both their MPs. You use this to finish off Chloe's. She tells Yllia to not fail on her buffs. Yllia heals herself, and now she basically becomes immune to her attack debuff for 3 turns. Now you could also combine this with somebody else that generally stuns themselves, like say, Joan of Arc or Jean of Arc, like Tamamo Cat, like Frankenstein. All 3 of them stun themselves with their Noble Phantasm. Launch this onto them, and then they can use their Noble Phantasm and not get stunned. So both of them combined make a very good duo in terms of their abilities here. Now, unfortunately, that does require an interlude, but usually that's not too bad to do. Now, passives. Debuff resistance, critical damage, really nothing special there. But Noble Phantasm ignores evasion for 1 turn. This is probably the second, I think this is the second Noble Phantasm that we have on Global that ignores evasion. I believe the first one was Altria Lancers. She ignores evasion and invincibility. So this is like a smaller version of that. However, single target, 900 damage, and lowers her critical chance. So not too bad, honestly, a decent amount of damage. Considering you're going to have an MP level 5 here, you can get up to 1,500 if you get her up to a 300% charge. But yeah, definitely not a bad servant. Now, something I do know about her is that she is considered the first, or well, she shares the #1 spot of 4-star archers along with Nobunaga. And that is because she is entirely focused on taking out 1 target, and being able to ignore evasion definitely helps her out. Nobunaga shares that spot with her because she has, well, basically something only Nobunaga has is anti-riding and anti-divine, which is why she absolutely destroys Minamoto no Raikyo. So yeah, they are the 2 best. Isn't that interesting? The 2 best 4-star archers in the game are free servants. Interesting, isn't it? Anyway, let's take a look at the craft instances for the event. First, Khalid Ruby. Now, as you can see, during the event, they gain this effect. Female servants, Chevalier Dion, and Astolfo gain these effects. Plus 50% damage, not bad, and plus 50% buster performance. So if you have a female servant that lives off of their buster cards, trying to think of one, Jean Alter, for example, you should definitely, absolutely give them this. That increases buster performance by 10% and MP damage by 10%. So after the event, if you get all 5 of your copies, fuse them together, you get this effect. Buster performance and MP damage by 10% for Jean Alter. That is definitely not bad. And during the event, 50%, 100% extra damage to Jean Alter. I can definitely see people using this during the event on a lot of servants. But outside of that, I don't think it's that useful, not really, because usually servants that focus on buster performance usually don't have a quick way to charge their MP. But anyway, now for the next one, Khalid Sapphire. Now this one I think is actually very, very good. So same exact thing, except this one increases arch performance by 50%. Now if you look at the normal effect, this increases arch performance by 10 to 15 and MP damage by 8 to 10. So 50% extra arch performance plus 50% arch performance and 50% damage. So during this event, you give this to either Chloe or Yllia and they will be wrecking house with their damage. So yeah, maxing this one now might be worth doing during the event because as you can see, there is no extra drop effect during this. So fusing it into and giving it to Chloe, which is probably what most of us are going to end up doing, is definitely the way to go with this one. And that it really is it. So this event is a lot simpler than the one, well, than the summer events we just went through. But you do have to dedicate a little bit of time to make sure you get all 5 copies of Chloe because this will be your only chance to get her, as far as we know. Oh, and by the way, remember that I said you had 2 chances to get Yllia? Yeah, this is the New Year summoning campaign. Ignore the 17, that's going to be a 19 for us. So as you can see, if you go down here, you will see, here she is. There is Yllia right there. On the 6th of January, if the table stays the exact same, she alone will have a raid up, and you will also be able to get the limited craft instance from the event as well. Now, that is not the only day. During the 11th, you will also be here during the pool where all the other limited time events show up. But as you can see, that is it. You only have 2 days during this event to pull her. Now, I don't know about you guys, but risking pulling a 5-star and not being it the one I want, or waiting, let's say, some 6 months for the one day where only she has a raid up, I think I'm going to wait to make sure I pull her. Outside of that, it would also be this, but that's really not worth talking much until later. Oh, and by the way, Ishtar will also be during this, so yeah, that's another reason why I'm completely waiting for this event. But anyway, yeah, Prisma Yllia Causeway event. Don't miss it out for anything in the world. At least get your 5 copies of Chloe, and then you can relax for a while. You don't really need the 5 copies of every of the crafted instances. You don't need the crystallized lore if you've been playing from the beginning, since I have. So yeah, hopefully you find this useful in preparing for this event, and we will see you next time.